I love that. I love that you used EFT. I use that myself
Mm.
and has helped me immensely. And I use that with my coaching clients. And I think that it's such a powerful tool. And for those of you that are listening, if you're not familiar with EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping, it's the idea of tapping on these certain points in your body that are meridians that help the energy flow in your body rather than being stuck where stuck or hung up or caught in those spaces from previous trauma experiences, basically.
Hey, ladies. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to dive into today's podcast. But first, I want to grab your full attention really quick because I want to talk about something really exciting that's coming up. If you have been feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, anxious, or you feel like you're just living in constant survival mode, then listen up because this is for you. I am hosting a brand new 3-day mind body healing workshop. It's unlike anything I've ever done before. This is for you if you're a woman who feels like you've tried everything. You've tried all the supplements, the diets, the therapy, the positive thinking, and you still feel stuck in your stress, stuck in your symptoms, and in a spiral of burnout and survival mode. Over the course of these 3 powerful days, I'm going to teach you the exact nervous system regulation techniques that helped me and hundreds of women like you finally get out of fight or flight, start healing from chronic stress and trauma, and reconnect with our true selves, reclaiming our energy, getting our confidence back, and finally living in alignment with God's calling. You'll learn how to calm your body in real time, release trapped emotions and patterns that are keeping you stuck, release those limiting beliefs that are ruminating in your head, reclaim your energy and your mental clarity, regulate your emotions instead of reacting, rebuild your confidence and self trust, and start feeling safe in your body again. This isn't just about managing your symptoms. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the woman who no longer feels like she's barely holding it all together. It's about healing at the root of your symptoms so you can finally feel that peace, your power, and your purpose in your everyday life. It's practical, powerful, and it's exactly what your nervous system has been craving. So grab your spot now. The link is in the show notes. There's limited spots available. I cannot wait to walk through this with you. See you there. Hey, everyone. So, we already know how many people feel stuck in the limitations of conventional medicine. And that's exactly why I created Holistic Health with Melissa to take you on a journey from conventional to crunchy. Here, you'll get empowering wellness insights, practical tips, and faith centered strategies to help you feel your absolute best. In each episode, we'll dig into what true health and wellness really means. We'll dive into nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, and detox, all things so important to your health. We'll chat about raising kids with intention and living life of faith. So join me to reclaim your energy, embrace your healthiest life, and find joy and purpose along the way.
Music group, excuse me, Labana, as a singer, bassist, percussionist, and principal dancer. She hosts the podcast Delight in the Limelight to inspire and empower individuals on their journey to confident self expression. Welcome, Linda. I'm so excited for our conversation today. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I'm really honored to be here, Melissa.
Yay. I am so excited to dive into your book. I haven't read it yet, but you did mail me a copy and I'm really, really excited. I think that, we were just talking before we started recording, right? Just about this idea of like people, like being seen is difficult for people and like being lowering those kind of walls that we build around ourselves to protect ourselves, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you like I'm it's interesting to me reading your bio that you formally stricken with public speaking yourself, but then going on to learn that you were um on stage for decades with that group, that music group.
I
How
know it
did
feels
you
like an oxymoron because here I am on stage, and then 35 years in, I realized I have a fear of public speaking.
Yeah,
Well,
that's incredible.
I sort of, I mean, I knew it. It was kind of like an open thing that some of us in the group felt really comfortable introducing songs. The next piece is this. And it was like we had a few people in the group. It was their home place. They just loved getting that time in the limelight to kind of expound on, like creating an image for the audience. And then there were those of us who dreaded having to get up and say the next song is from the eastern part of Armenia or something like that. It seems so innocuous, but those 30 seconds or a minute were dreadful for me. And I just white knuckled through it because I had to do it. It was expected of me, but I hated it. And it was like the part of performing that I liked the least was that minute on stage. I do have a movement background. That was my home space, but I think I liked it because I didn't have to open my mouth to speak. And you started this, opening off with, how we have these blocks to visibility. And I feel like, yes, we do, and it's for good reason. And that's what I discovered, that we feel that way because there were times in our life where it didn't feel safe to do that, where we were injured in some way or put down, or there was some negative consequence to being seen or heard, where we felt like people weren't interested in us, they didn't give us space, they uh, they let us know that we were of no consequence in their lives because they're so interested and consumed with their own. Like I was listening to your story, where your parents, they had their compulsions of being, totally absorbed by the addiction and their lifestyle, and you were left kind of to fend for yourself. But I think about maybe not others of us have had that background, but we've had other kinds of experiences in our lives where we were made to feel less than, not good enough, not
Yeah.
worthy of attention, where we were
Yeah.
ridiculed or bullied in school, or we felt like weren't smart enough or pretty enough or tall enough or whatever it was, not enoughs. And all of these things can impact our willingness to put ourselves out there, which makes perfect sense. Because if you were led to believe that what you have to say was of little importance, I mean, that doesn't give you a lot of confidence to share your ideas, whether it's getting on video or it's talking to a client or a customer, or if it's sharing your ideas in a meeting.
Yeah. That's so powerful because I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like that's the source of pretty much everybody's discomfort, right? Is these beliefs about ourselves from our past experiences. And we're kind of always, I think, carrying this belief that we're just not good enough.
Right, right. And like I was also mentioning to you before the show that I was listening to something you had said, and I think maybe it's in the first episode, or what you talk about, what the show is about, finding what true health is. And it made me think of, from my perspective as being a speaking confidence coach, that all of us want to feel like we are seen and heard, and that we can express ourselves without fear, and that we can express ourselves without negative consequences, and that we can be ourselves. And even, what does it mean to be ourselves when we feel like we've been hiding and we've been worried about what other people think? What does it mean? Like, what does it mean to be really Linda, the real Linda? What does she look like? What does she sound like? How does she put herself out there? And when I think of true health, I think that this inner freedom to express ourselves without inhibition is part of our basic well-being. I know that, when I say I suffered from speaking fear for most of my life, I was always afraid people were going to be angry at me. And people did get angry at me. I felt like I said the wrong things.
Oh,
People took
wow.
offense. And it wasn't. So in my family of origin, there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of screaming. I felt like it was better to not say anything at all rather than to have my sisters say, shut up or call me stupid. Or I saw my mom get angry at my sisters when they spoke truth to power. And they told her she was being unreasonable. They would get punished. And I kind of felt that way growing up too. I was in situations where I felt like if I said the wrong thing, people would get angry at me. I didn't know the quote unquote the right things to say. I might have had, even when I had good intentions, I just didn't have the resources. We didn't have ChatGPT to ask, how do I say this to somebody in a way that is kind but still kind of honors where I'm coming at. I think this is one of the most brilliant things about ChatGPT today is how it can help us be a better human and be a better communicator when we don't have the words to say it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I had never thought about that. How do you feel like you were able to identify that, like looking back, it seems like that you hated that piece of being in the limelight, but it wasn't until you said 35 years in that you realized that, like, intellectually, cognitively, that you're like, "Oh, wow, I actually don't like that part."
Well,
What was the
I
process?
discovered pretty early. I mean, I remember back in grad school and I was in my early 30s when I was asked to give a talk and I totally froze up and my mouth got totally dry and no words came out of my mouth. So I knew from that experience that I had an issue. And I had made a comment to myself that I'd never speak in public again. I mean, other than when introducing songs from the stage. And also I was teaching movement for personal development, a kind of movement therapy, but I wasn't working in a clinical setting. I was using it for people to develop self-awareness and kind of explore the depths of themselves. And I found it to be really fascinating and compelling. So I was teaching, but I always felt nervous. I remember always feeling nervous at the beginning of class. Once we settled into doing the movement, then I calmed down, but I never felt really comfortable in my skin opening up my mouth. And wasn't like I say 35 years in, it wasn't until I was 35, it was actually till I was almost 60 years old when I discovered what it was all about. And it came about when I had decided to become an online coach. It was back in 2013-14. I became an online coach. And once I kind of got my website set up and I took my coaching program, I realized it was time to let people know I existed. And at the time I thought it has to be video. So I took a bunch of video programs, and during that period I learned about a new technology called live streaming, and the app was called Periscope. And all the marketing gurus said, get on now, you'll be an early adopter, you have to do it every single day, build your following. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm kind of late to the game. I mean, I think I was 59, but I'm going to do this. And it was terrifying. But I decided I was going to white knuckle through it. And I would do things like meditation and deep breathing, power poses, jumping jacks, affirmations, reframing the fears, excitement, or anything I could get a hold of that was searchable on Google, I utilized. And I got on every day, assuming, of course, after a few weeks, I'd feel relaxed and comfortable. Well, the weeks went by. I got to week 10, and I noticed my heart still pounding. And I thought, why? Why am I still afraid of pressing broadcast when I've done this for 75 days in a row? And what is it going to take for me to get to a place where it's just, okay, time to press broadcast? And I thought, I'm managing the fear, but I don't want to manage the fear. I just want to get rid of it. And I wonder, can I get rid of this?
Mm, so powerful.
And I have this degree in expressive arts therapy. I have a lot of tools in it, personal development, and I made a list of them all. I said, okay, let's have at it. And the first thing I decided to do was something that I had learned kind of in passing. I had a book called Focusing. And the idea is that you put that whatever issue it is into your body somewhere, like feel it inside your body, and you dialogue with it. So I closed my eyes and I asked, if this fear could talk, what would it say? And what came back was, you're going to be attacked. And suddenly I had a memory of my sisters, my two older sisters, attacking me whenever mom put me in the center of attention because I was the goody goody and they were bad. And she would say, why can't you girls be more like Linda? Which they absolutely despised. And they despised me for it. And so that's when they would kick me, say, shut up, and call me stupid.
Oh my goodness.
And all of a sudden it wasn't even an aha, it was duh.
Yeah.
Of course I don't feel comfortable on camera or introducing a song from the stage because there's part of me that's getting activated from those memories that's remembering it wasn't safe to be the center of
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. And you're having a trauma response.
I'm having a trauma response. Duh.
Yeah.
And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden I realized that's what this fear of speaking is about, I bet. I bet that's what it is. And then my curiosity took over and I thought, what else do I have in my psychic closet? What else is lurking around that I haven't really paid attention to because I didn't realize that it was still kind of part of my this glomulation of experiences that led to me feeling unsafe. And I remembered the time in seventh grade I was bullied, attacked for some reason. I still don't know why. In the stairwell at school, a girl punched me in the belly. My father saying, I'm sorry, Linda, I'm just not interested in the things you're interested in.
Mm.
That made me feel like, oh, maybe people aren't interested in the things I'm interested in. All these, at a time that I was embarrassed in college when the phys ed teacher said, I saw your dance performance last night, and I have to say, I didn't get it at all. What were you doing up there?
Oh, wow.
Not to mention all the times in class where I saw other kids get ridiculed or punished or had bad grades for not being prepared when they stood in the front of the class or not know where something was on the map. All these ways that I felt traumatized for not knowing the right answer, making mistakes, not being feeling on the outside of the cool kids and, feeling like, oh, everybody else knows what they're doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. All these
Yeah.
things kind of like they kind of weave together and build this feeling of you're not good enough, you're not safe, it's not okay for you to put yourself out there.
Right.
So
And be seen.
and be
Yeah.
seen and be heard and take up
Yeah.
space and feel like
Yeah.
I can just be me. These are the veils of inhibition, the veils
Yes.
of inhibition. So once I had kind of like a view into my stuff, it's kind of like you've got mail, you've got stuff.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. I said, okay, where's that list of mine of all these healing modalities? So one of them is EFT, emotional freedom technique, or people know it as tapping. One was creative visualization. This was a big book back in the 80s where there are all different ways that you can visualize what, inner parenting or future self and past self and uh, forgiveness. There are all kinds of forgiveness exercises. And I was, into movement. So I did movement for release and movement of forgiveness and just feeling my emotions, all these things. After 5 days, my fear was gone. It was just gone. If it was like I took care of all those things that I could think of at the time that were standing in my way of being just in the here and now, being present, that I just felt released. I felt released and that's all I can say. I felt released. I felt like the burden had been lifted. It had dissolved away, and what was left was this feeling of presence. So the following week I was still periscoping every day. And I was just happy, like, oh my God, I don't have to do an hour of, rituals to feel okay about getting on. I still did some just because I liked them. I liked like getting myself prepared and focused or
Centered.
grounded,
Yeah.
centered and
Yeah.
energized. And that's all good stuff. But I didn't have to do it to calm myself down. I could just do 5 minutes of it or 2 minutes of it and be prepared, which was just lovely. And then, but the week after, I remember having a lot of errands to do, and I was rushing back home because I wanted to be back before it got dark. And I said, "Hey guys, I just want to say how grateful I am that I get to come on camera because I had such a busy day, and now I can just relax." And I paused and I thought, "Wow, I can just relax."
That's a shift. Yeah.
That's a shift.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't for another couple of months that I had another concert with my group. But when the program came up to the song I was supposed to introduce, I had the thought, just totally involuntarily, oh good, it's my turn to speak. I thought, that's new too. It's as if all these opportunities that I got to be in the limelight were something that I was finally feeling gratitude for. All because we all want to be seen and heard. And finally, I had the openness, the willingness, the safety to feel like I could take this opportunity. This is a gift for me. I get to speak. It's my turn to open my mouth. People are paying attention to me and it feels okay.
Yeah.
Like
You're not being attacked.
I'm not being attacked. I'm not worried about being attacked. I'm not worried about if people are interested. I know the audience is interested. They want to know what that next piece is about. They're not judging me. Oh, did she say that in a good way? No, they're listening. Oh, what is this next piece about? Oh, it's about this song from Armenia. Oh, isn't that an interesting piece of history? That's what they're listening to. That's what they're
Wow.
captured by. It had nothing to do with me anymore. And that one of the things I had Googled of advice was don't think of yourself, think of your audience, which I thought that's a great piece, but I couldn't allow for that. I didn't have space for that while I was hyperventilating. I only had that experience after I cleared this stuff away. Then I felt I had the capacity to understand, oh, the audience is eager for this, and I can give it to them. This is my role to provide them with this information so that they have a bigger context to experience the music.
Yeah. Wow. So just to recap and just so I understand, did you say that you think that EFT you said EFT and then there was something else right after that? I can't remember.
I did different. I remember staying up for hours at night forgiving people. So I would think of any comment or any experience I had that could possibly have like demeaned me, or I felt less by, or I felt confused by, or uncomfortable with. And in my mind, would say, I forgive you, Jack, for
Forgiveness.
coercing me to have sex when I was, 14. I forgive you, Mom, for not knowing how to be a better mom. I forgive you, Judith, Susan, my sisters, for being jealous of me, because of course you were jealous of me. I forgive you, Dad, for not having the capacity to show interest in your daughter. I know if you could have done better, you would have done better. I forgive you, Mr. So-and-so and Jim, that Jim, I just went through all my teachers. I went through all my classmates that I remember their names, or even if I didn't, I went through all the experiences. I mean, hours. I would be up 2 or 3 hours a night, lying in bed in my mind, forgiving people, forgiving myself for not knowing how to handle things. forgiving myself for not having the words to say or know how to protect myself or set my boundaries or to realize that it wasn't about me. I didn't have those tools as a kid to know it's not about me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, most kids, I mean, that's
Well,
normal,
of
developmentally
course, it's
normal, right?
totally normal. Yes, but
Yeah.
as an adult, we do have these awarenesses and we can go back and change the past for ourselves. So, yes, I did EFT on the big things. I did forgiveness on every other thing, plus the big
Yeah.
things. I journaled about
Yeah.
stuff. I mm, did movement because I I just enjoy using my body to express myself. And I just felt like, I had a lot of angst. I had a lot of emotions that came up. And so I danced my emotions. I danced my sadness. I danced my disappointment. I danced my inhibition. And I danced my forgiveness. And I danced my self-love.
I love that. I love that you used EFT. I use that myself
Mm,
and has helped me immensely. And I use that with my coaching clients. And I think that it's such a powerful tool. And for those of you that are listening, if you're not familiar with EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping, it's the idea of tapping on these certain points in your body that are meridians that help the energy flow in your body rather than being stuck stuck or hung up or caught in those spaces from previous trauma experiences, basically. And it's just fascinating to me, Linda, that you identified your fear of public speaking from all of these experiences that you had had in your past. Because I feel like, I mean, this is so much of the work that I do now, is that I feel like everything always comes back to trauma. It always comes back to our past experiences, childhood experiences, trauma responses that we are exhibiting because of things that we went through as a kid
yeah.
or
Yeah.
our, adolescence or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's just fascinating to me how for you it manifested as this fear of public speaking, of being seen, of being on stage, right? Not even on stage, but just being seen, opening your mouth, like you say, where, other people, it manifests into like chronic illness or
Mhm.
um, self-doubt or anger or addiction or, like there's so many different ways where your past can manifest if you don't deal with it and you hold on to this, um, these feelings of unworthiness and live into those feelings that you're not worth it, that people don't care about you, that you should be better, or that you're not good enough, then it will manifest in some way in your life. You have
Yeah.
to let go of that energy. I always say emotion is energy in motion. We know from physics tells us, right? Like the laws of physics, you can't change. If you drop an apple, it's going, if you hold an apple up and you drop it, it's going to fall to the floor. Like we know energy, as an object in motion, stays in motion. Energy does not just dissipate, it goes somewhere. Physics tells us that. So if you have this energy inside of you, your dad says that he doesn't care about what you care, isn't interested about what you're interested in, or your sisters are calling you stupid, or your mom gets angry at you for, these little things, and you internalize that energy, it's going to stay in your body until you release it. And EFT is such a powerful tool for releasing that energy.
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily need to know what it is.
Yeah. I just had a client this morning and we she said to me after we did the EFT, and during the EFT, by the way, it was very emotional for me too. I mean, there were a few things that as we worked, tears came up for me, even as the practitioner. I just felt the emotion rise. And she said afterwards, I have to admit that I was really skeptical that this was going to do anything, but it was so powerful for her. And she talked about the tears that were starting to come up, and and just how it laid clear so many things about her past and ways that she had been holding. And that's what I like about the EFT. I think of it like kind of like taking off what you said. It's interrupting the pattern of how we hold things in our body. And when we loosen them up, we interrupt it, it's able to come back together in new formation where we hold it in ourselves in a new way. Maybe it's just a story now. It's not an activation.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Wow. What a powerful realization and experience and like journey that you've had to be
Yeah.
able to like realize all of those things and then release it. It's almost like your journey, like what you were destined to be on stage so that you could and be a part of that music group so that you could do this work ultimately. Do you feel like
Yeah.
that?
Well, yeah, I still wonder what that was all about. I mean, it's interesting because it was an amazing experience to be part of that group. And it was also very challenging and carried forward a lot of the dysfunction from my life. And so I'm still digesting it all. However, it definitely had a place for me in both positive and showing me negative patterns. The positive thing was that even when I stopped teaching dance in my 30s after my father died because he always called me up every week and he said, "So how much money are you making, Linda?" And I was always embarrassed because I wasn't supporting myself quite. It was always, break even. And and after he died, I thought, you know what? He's right. I don't know how to make this into a business. I don't know what I'm doing. This is frustrating. I'm just going to put it to the side. But the performing kept a placeholder for me to be seen. And I have to say that as a dancer, it was extremely gratifying because had I joined, let's say, a dance company, I was never good enough to be in a dance company. I didn't have the quote unquote technique for that, like the ballet technique. I don't have the body for that. But I was always very, very good of embodying the energy of people. So in my group, I was learning dance from Senegal or from Saudi Arabia or Gujarat, India or Hawaii. And what was cool is that, people were just seeing this music group and then suddenly one of the musicians would step forward and do this dance and they'd go like, wow. So I had an amazing vehicle for visibility and getting, a lot of positive reinforcement for what I was providing people on an energetic, emotional. Yes, of course, it's entertaining, but some of it was more than that. Like I did a trance dance from Egypt, and people would weep. I can't tell you how many people would come to me and say, "Oh my God, I just was in tears the whole time." I always went into that dance. I felt like so grateful to have this particular dance that I could go in and do therapy for myself on stage in front of people. I would always go in and say, okay, what do I need right now? What is in my way? What do I need? And I'd go out there and close my eyes and get into this trance. And it would start slow and it got faster and it was all percussion. It was intense and all of a sudden I'd collapse to the floor and people were just like stunned. And there are people who came just to see that dance every single time I did it. Some people
Wow.
will say, I've seen that 5 times and I cry every single time. So it's almost as if I was allowed to be a shaman for them. Through my dance, I did something for them. So that was an
Yeah.
extremely powerful role to be able to play for people. On the other hand, I always felt like I didn't have a voice inside the group. People told me I did. I was always the one who stirred up the shit, they told me. But I was always petrified. I was even afraid to look people in the eye when we like do a little go around. And I was aware of this. I was aware of feeling so inhibited and like I really couldn't fully be myself. So yes, it did have a part in my development. And finally, back before the pandemic, I told them I've done this for 40 years. And I said, it's time for me to put all my energy into my work. And I had already started I was in the process of writing Delight in the Limelight. I said, I need all my attention on writing the book and getting the word out there because I still looked around on the internet and I didn't see anybody talking about this. Some people were saying, oh, yeah, if you had some experiences in the past, that probably did affect you. So now what you should do is get a really good script and deliver it in a really good way and do some deep breathing or, it's like gave a nod to it, but they didn't know it was saying, here's how you handle it. Here's how you clear your stuff. Oh, I also want to say, Melissa, this is something I learned from my clients, that it's not just what we think of as negative stuff, but some of the quote unquote positive stuff can also be conditioning that works against us. If you were someone who did really well in school, if you were a straight A student, and I was most of the time, that can also create anxiety for you because you have developed this idea that you are worthy because you're perfect. You're
Yeah.
worthy if
It's conditional.
It's conditional, exactly. And
Your
if
worth is tied to your performance.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so even though you might say, oh yeah, I was a really good student and I was valedictorian, whatever, you get to be the COO of a company. I've had a client like that, and he's petrified of when he speaks to his team or the company that what he would evaluate himself on would be a 96. That's failure. That he stumbled over his words, that he wasn't as engaging as the next person. And I think we get into this mindset that we need to impress people. That totally is besides the point. It's like, first of all, because it is a goal that's impossible. I mean, even like if you look at these skaters who are competing in the Olympics and they are all so perfect. Each one is perfect, but do we like everyone equally? No, we don't. And that's somebody who is at the amazing level of perfection. It is impossible. And even like, why? Why? We are, as human beings, we're drawn to certain things and we're less drawn to others. So let's give space and acceptance and uh not anticipation, but what's the word expectation that we're going to resonate what we have to say with some people and less so with others, and that's okay. Some people are going to be drawn to be our friends and others not. That's okay. Let them, right?
Yeah.
Let them. Mel Robbins, let them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I often talk about this with clients about it's like food. It's like not everybody likes broccoli. Like some people love broccoli, some people hate broccoli. It's not like you just like think broccoli should just go and die and be it, like you're like, oh, we shouldn't even grow broccoli anymore. It's terrible. Like you just like, I don't really like broccoli. Like,
Yeah, and if you serve it to some guests and someone doesn't eat it, it's not a personal affront.
yeah, yeah, totally. The idea of like perfectionism is an interesting one because I think that stems from childhood trauma and past experiences also a lot of times. Like
Yes.
in one, for me, I was very much like a straight A student also. And that manifested from a desire to when my parents got divorced, my mom was really verbally abusive and emotionally unavailable. And I learned that the only way I could get her attention was to perform. So I started trying to like be really good at everything I was doing. So I would like clean the house for her just for the 1 millisecond of like, oh, thanks, from her. That, like, I felt like I was like striving to get that from her all the time. Same thing with performance at school. I was getting straight A's all the time, working so hard at school because I just wanted her to notice me. But the other way too, like if your parents are not necessarily abusive, but like they give you praise or tell you you're so smart, you're so, like, you can also learn that's how you get the praise, that's how you get the attention. And then you start putting that on yourself. And unless you work through all of that baggage, that stuff, everybody's got it, right? You're gonna kill yourself trying to attain this impossible level of perfection. You just have to be okay with not being perfect, because it really is, like you said, it's not possible.
And also, it's one of the things that I've been learning is that not only is it impossible, but it's not even desirable, because like I have one of my students is a parenting coach, and do busy, stressed, overwhelmed parents want to follow someone their hair is always, combed, they've got makeup, their clothes don't have stains on it, when they feel like I could never be like that? They want someone that they can relate to,
relatable,
that gets them.
Yeah.
And even like as a speaker myself now, like I welcome making mistakes, because I like, first of all, it's kind of fun, a fun challenge to handle them, because I expect they're going to happen. I know mistakes are going to happen. And so I rather expect that if I'm going to say, well, these 6 things are going to help you feel comfortable on camera, and I get to number 4 or 5, and I think I can't remember what that one is, I like being able to say that. I like saying, oh, I can't remember what that is, but don't worry. It'll either come back to me or I'll send you an email, and then just move on. It's fun to have something in my pocket that I can feel relaxed, serene, have some equanimity, or even make a joke about. And I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me afterwards and said, I loved how you did that. Thank you so much for modeling what to do, because that's what I'm afraid of happening. And you just like solved that problem for me. And I remember another time when someone, after saying that, said, I want to hire you as my coach. So then I thought, oh, in our mistakes, we get money. There's money in the mistakes we make. Plus, when you can also look at it as one door closes, another door opens. You make a mistake, something comes out of it. And at the very least, mistakes make great stories.
Yeah. And they say that you learn more from failure than you do from success. So mistakes are actually like failure, mistakes, challenges. You're actually going to learn more from those. That's information. It's data that you can learn to help grow and become better, right?
Yes, absolutely.
If you're just successful all the time, it's
I don't know if I agree with that, but we definitely do learn from our mistakes. There's a lot to learn. I don't know, maybe it's not learning, but we get something else from leaning into our strengths and having our strengths reflected to us. Because I know, like in my programs, my Delight in the Limelight Accelerator, we don't do any kind of constructive feedback. I might, as the kind of like the guide or the facilitator, occasionally say, okay, let's build upon that. Now that you've done this, let's do this. So there's teaching and learning that way. But in terms of feedback, we don't do constructive feedback. We only give positive reflections, what I like and appreciate. Because when we've been traumatized by being criticized, and that's what our school experience is like, and oftentimes at home too, not necessarily one way or the other in school or home, but oftentimes, yes, we are so sensitive to those words, and it immediately activates our fear center.
Yeah.
And that closes us up. But when we have the antidote to that, which is, I love how you said that. I really feel the warmth. I really feel like your credibility or how I can trust, or I love how casual you are. All of a sudden, it kind of like melts. It's like warm sunlight on our muscles. It softens our energy and we start to expand into it. We expand into our visibility. We expand into the space we feel comfortable taking up because we know that there is this warmth reception
Yeah.
to the things we say.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we even measure that on a scientific level. I don't know that we can, but there is purpose to both.
Sure.
I wouldn't want to live in a world where I'm just learning from my mistakes.
Oh, for
I
sure.
want to live in a world where I feel like I can relax and expand my comfort zone. That's what I don't like the idea of being outside my comfort zone. Something we don't have choice a lot of times. Sometimes we've got to be on the outside. But I like the idea of I'm okay improvising here. I'm okay taking risks here. This feels safe enough to take risks.
Yeah.
Like I part of my accelerators, we work on the sound of our voice and we're making all these sounds. And I'm even like this week we were like letting our tongues come out, blah, blah, blah. And for some people it's like, oh, I can't do that. I can't let myself do that because we're taught we're not supposed to stick our tongues out. Get your tongue back in your mouth, Missy. Or I sucked at my tongue until I was 12 years old. So I had a lot of people telling me to put my tongue back in my mouth. And so the idea of like relaxing our tongue and letting it hang out and relaxing our throat can feel outside our comfort zone. Yet in the environment of the class, people go, oh, okay, I can do that. And oh, wow, my voice feels so opened up now. I feel my resonance. It feels like I'm not like tightening my muscles in my throat.
Yeah, because you're not holding that energy there anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we have these we have these rules of, oh, I'm not supposed to do this, and it feels bad if I let my tongue come out. It feels sexual or feels like a kid. I'm being childish. Ways that we were made to feel bad about ourselves. That is another layer of inhibition. And we want to feel comfortable speaking. We want to love the sound of our voice. We want to love, but reclaim that joy of being a kid, that child that loves to play around with sounds and experiment and be silly, and so that every time we open up our mouth, it feels like this is fun. This is fun to like vibrate my body. And isn't this cool that I have this instrument that I can use to express myself with?
Yeah. Wow. So much good work you're doing. I love this. That's incredible. So good.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's why I felt so excited about the show because, circling back, our well-being, holistic health, yes, it's even in how we express ourselves.
Yeah.
It's almost like what I found is that my inability to express myself led me to the stuff that needed to be healed, that was asking to be healed. It was like the fear of speaking was not the villain, it was the messenger. And you might even say, the pain or the whatever, the somatic dis-ease that we have is not the villain, it is the messenger,
Yeah.
to
It's
pointing
just
back
giving
to
you it's just giving you information.
it's giving us information, it's pointing
Yeah.
us to those very things in our past that are asking to be resolved.
Yeah.
And they haven't been resolved for whatever reason, but now they can be.
Yeah.
And when
Awareness is always the first step.
that's right.
Wow. Linda, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing all of your wisdom and your experience. I really appreciate your vulnerability and I can see your heart is to just like really help people. And it's just your work is incredible, and I'm honored to have had this time to just chat with you. If people are wanting to know more about you or chat with you or look you up, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the book is Delight in the Limelight. And if you go to delightinthelimelight.com, you'll come into my website. Linda Ugelow, Ugelow is my name, and you'll find me anywhere with that because there's no one else with that name. Luckily, it was a hardship to have a name that nobody could pronounce, but now there's a benefit.
Yeah. I could see that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I will share all of those links in the show notes. Reach out to Linda if you want to talk through anything that she mentioned today. Go get her book, Delight in the Limelight. Thank you so much for listening to Holistic Health with Melissa, and tune in to the next episode.